Okay, we're gonna start with the elephant in the room, which is anything related to AI. So how are you leveraging AI tools like captions, clip selection, B-roll without losing creativity?
I love this question because AI is by far the most popular thing these days, but most people are using it wrong. Because it's like if I asked Taylor to make, a sandwich, what sandwich is she gonna make? Oh, I don't know. She can make a PB&J, you can make a ham and cheese. It's the same thing with AI. If you just ask it to make a script, you have no clue what it's gonna create. So the way that we're using AI is we're giving it the pre-context that it needs to actually give us an output that's relevant to our brand, right? How do we speak? How do we systematize the process in a way that we can feed it into the AI to create an output? So Claude's my favorite right now, creating pre-context in its what's known as artifacts. So then that way it has something to refer to when you ask it to do something.
Mm-hmm. So the input has to be from you.
Correct. You have to give it something that it can look towards to give you the output that you want. So if you just say, make me a script, it doesn't know what a script even is. But you feed it 100 of your successful videos, and then you say, hey, identify the formats that work, or identify the way that I describe certain things in particular areas, and it's going to be able to give you a way better answer.
I want to piggyback off that too, and I think we have something very special here, by the way. So thank you, FinCon, for bringing us all together here in amazing Portland, Oregon. Josh brought up a really good point about this AI platform, Claude. It's actually something that I was not using before speaking to some short-form content creator friends. I was using ChatGPT. And so one of the things that I came to realize was that different AI platforms have very different specifications on what they're best in. So I find that Claude at this point is very great for creative writing. I find Perplexity is absolutely amazing for research purposes at this point in time. As far as research goes, you know how many hours can go into the process, but with Perplexity, it's giving real world data, very insightful facts that you can go ahead and use in your scripts, especially considering a lot of us here are money nerds and finance creators. And then ChatGPT is more of to me, it feels like an assistant, kind of more of the admin tasks rather than the creative where Claude comes in and the research that Perplexity provides.
Yeah, I'm echoing on their comments. We use Claude all the time too. ChatGPT, maybe for more like how do you do the business, and then Claude for how to write the script. So you can have them create your outline, your rough draft, and then of course you have to go in there and fix it yourself. But you can also tell Claude, hey, this is how I want you to write my scripts going forward, so it doesn't make those same mistakes.
Yeah, for me, I actually use Claude mostly for long form, but then actually ChatGPT for short form. I guess I've spoken with ChatGPT a lot where I feel like it understands my voice really well for short form, so that's just me.
Nice. So it seems like you use it as a tool to boost creativity, but not to replace it. My next question is about virality. Have you guys cracked, obviously you have, all of you have you cracked how to systematize virality and identify patterns in high-performing videos?
I'll take this one. I think as content creators, we really need to be data researchers and come in with this approach, not just creativity, but looking at the data. What does that mean? Looking at video retention, looking at views, looking at comments. First, creating the piece of content, understanding that it has a job to play. What is the content actually providing? Do you want it to create views? Would you rather it be for shares? Is it solely just for conversion on a course or product that you might have? With all those metrics comes very different marketing objectives and outcomes. And so when we think about virality, it comes into play of, okay, here's the type of video that I want to provide. Here's the metrics that correspond with that video. And starting off there, and then posting the video, thinking about it like a content lab. I'm throwing anything that I can up at the wall and seeing, hey, I've noticed that I got a lot more views on this. Let me see if I can just maybe tweak the B-roll behind the video. Or a primary example for me, if you go on my profile right now, I have this little series. It's just using BTS long form text. And it goes, it's a strange feeling when XYZ happens as a young, I'm 25 years old, woman who blanks. I've repeated that type of format now countless amount of times, and it's pretty standard now on how many views that I'm getting, because I know for that video, it's a reach video. It's not a conversion video.
Yeah, just to piggyback off that, in our most recent film batch session, one thing I did is I went back and looked at all of the videos that did well the past 6 months. And with me and my brother, the videos that do well when he does them is different than the ones that I do. So it's just simply doing the work to look at the past data that you have if you're actively creating content to actually analyze and say, what are the common themes that you notice? And one of the videos that we've got going viral right now, it just crossed 1 million views, is a video I did talking about American Express credit cards. And I just went back to the previous videos that I'd done the past year, and that was a topic that just consistently did well. So when the session came, I said, well, I want to do 5 different variations of this type of topic and see if I can get another viral video. And lo and behold, you just have to look at what's worked in the past and don't try and fix something that's not broken.
I think for virality, it can be systemized. Ultimately, you look at what's working in your niche and make your own version of it. So for example, I saw that people were talking about like probate or passing away without a will and whatnot. So I made a funny video basically recreating like Harry Potter and his parents passing away because of Voldemort, right? And he gets to go back in time and tell his parents like, oh no, like you need to make a will or whatnot for me. And then people loved it, So you just have to add your own twist to a common theme that people are already looking for.
Yeah, definitely like looking at what other people are doing as well as like your past performance. Just I think what you guys have already said it. For me, I noticed that like documenting my journey has been great for like I think people really like those types of videos. So I'm actually trying to like get back into that more. So just seeing what works in the past and then trying to reiterate that. Yeah.
Like, I want to dig into that a little more. What are some patterns that you see?
I'll start again. Views is like the most immediate one. And so if you're on the FYP and you're seeing that this video has some millions of views, and now you click on the video, maybe you click on the audio or you look up the topic, you will see that there's definitely an interest in this topic as of today. It's important when I say as of today because at least in our content arena, a lot of topics can be news related, which might not work 4 weeks from now if it was news that just occurred today. And so taking a look at the evergreen content and seeing how you can piggyback off of that versus talking about the trends and what's going on now and seeing trending audio. How can you, again, put it within your niche to create your own spin on things?
Yeah, and I think there's also ways to make your content have more chances of success. So for example, we automatically put captions on all of our videos because a lot of times people are watching our videos like in the bathroom or like at work and they don't want other people to hear what you're watching. So, something like that.
All right. So you mentioned trends. You have to churn out a lot of content, right? It's different from long form. I only do once a week when I'm good about it. So what's your workflow for batching short form content but while avoiding daily burnout? Sharon, do you want to speak to that?
So I think a lot of it is like delegation and tools. So I'll work with like my intern and use tools like ChatGPT and Claude to ideate and script. And then for ideation and scripting, for example, I try to do that like on like one day. I don't want to mix up a bunch of tasks. So like scripting on one day and then filming for another day. I'll film like a bunch of videos on another day. So for tools, like I use ClickUp for project management. So basically for ClickUp, I have different columns for like the status of the card. So for ideation, I have one column, scripting for one column, filming for another column. So I move that card to the different columns based on like the status of the thing. So for the video, I'll film it and then I'll send the raw footage through file mail. That's another tool I use. I'll send that to my editors. So my editors will start editing the video. Once that's ready, we use a tool called Frame.io for commenting. So that's a great tool for like basically putting your feedback after they've, exported the video. So they can timestamp, which is really convenient for the editors to see like where you have feedback on. So once it's ready, I basically use a tool called Buffer for scheduling. So I have my interns schedule all my reels through Buffer, and that just makes my whole process a lot easier. I don't have to do as much stuff. So that's a long answer, but I use a lot of different tools. Yeah.
That sounds awesome.
I want to say too, I think a lot of people might struggle with idea generation. And so at least I know for me, in my experience, I've been doing it for so many years now, I used to try and bucket idea generation in one day. And I would find that on this day, I was trying to work and step into this creative state when it was just not happening whatsoever, no matter how hard I tried, no matter how hard of content that I was viewing and researching and trying to implement it and see what would come up out of here. And so I've actually created a Slack channel called Ideas Inbox, where at any point in the day now that an idea crosses by my mind, I just take note of it quick. I don't have to act on it, at least as of today. I might, on a Tuesday, have a batching film schedule where I do my hair and makeup, I'm ready, I'm in the zone, I had my matcha or a boba, and I'm good to go. But as far as this idea generation concept goes, I really feel as though once you have that idea, note it down. You don't need to act on it at this moment in time. But when that comes to be, when you're now writing the actual script and concept, that it's there instead of letting it fleet on to one of our other amazing brains in here.
No, I love that. I don't think it can be overstated how much just doing it 24/7 is going to make the actual process of batch filming so much easier. Where, just as you were saying, Taylor, throughout the day, you could just be walking around and somebody says something and you hear them and you're like, oh, wait a minute, that would be a good video. Like I'm like walking onto the plane and I just hear somebody complaining about check bags. They're like, oh my God, like, you got to get a credit card for that and a credit card for that and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, wait, maybe a video on like, airline credit cards and like baggage fees or something. Like you just kind of pick up on things, and if you try and do it all in a day, all that creativity that you've had for months and weeks leading up to that just goes away. So create a system, mine, app on my phone, I click it, little box pops up, I just type in whatever I want, it goes into my content ideation inbox, and when the time comes, I go through that inbox and actually decide what I want to do.
Yeah, so I work with someone like every day, my VA from the Philippines, and his job is to do market research. So we're looking at what are performing really well in our niche, and then we write down all the ideas that I think I could contribute to. And then, like Sharon said, we put all of our ideas on ClickUp. So if you guys don't know what that is, again, it's a big board. So instead of having everything on one long Google Doc and you're trying to find, oh, I already have a half-written script somewhere in this 100-page document, it's just one card. So you know, okay, where is this card? Did I film this yet? Did I record it yet? Or did I edit it yet? Did I post it yet? So definitely check that out if you guys haven't done it yet.
Good stuff. So I use Asana, but a project management software is, I think, key. Which ones do you guys use?
I use Monday personally, which
Okay,
is similar
similar.
to ClickUp.
I love ClickUp. I gotta say, I'm not sponsored by them. Reach out if you want to. I actually used to use Notion prior to, and again, I was stepping out of my creative, and I'm very much an admin operations person at the end of the day. And I found that with Notion, I was just constantly trying to rework the system, make it pretty, optimize it. How can I do this and that, instead of getting the content actually out there and picking up the phone and clicking record, which you might be falling into this bucket as well too. Like, how can I perfect the system? Regardless of whatever system it is, you just got to get yourself out there and go, because if you don't, you'll see, you'll just keep on hesitating, and then when you do start, oh man, I should have done that some years ago.
I also feel like when we talk about all these different tools, it might be overwhelming for someone who's just starting out. So when you're just starting out, I feel like you don't need to worry about too much of this stuff. Like, just get started, and then you start adding a lot of this, like the tools to your workflow.
I just think of that bell curve where like when you start, you're like using Apple Notes, and then you're like Notion and Asana, and that's connected via Zapier to the webhook over here, and then you just settle back into just using Apple Notes.
That's about right. Actually, to get a feel for the room, who's really experienced doing short form and has been doing it a while? Okay, and then who's interested in starting? So that's most of the room. Okay, good reference for us. But I feel like Frame is very helpful, project management software. And then this whole thing about like when you hatch the idea, you like record it so that you have a bank already. That's something that I do as well. And I use voice notes for that.
I don't think you record it right away, but you bank it and you have the script ready. Because we
Right.
film everything in one shot, maybe film once or twice a month. And then you send everything to the editor and then post as usual.
Well, yeah, that's what I was gonna
We're not
ask.
filming on a
What's your
regular basis.
cadence? Like, you do it weekly, and then that's for the whole month, or what?
On a Tuesday, like I said in my example, it's the real deal
On a Tuesday for the week or for the whole month?
for the week.
Okay.
As I mentioned, when talking about this idea of trends versus evergreen, it's super hard to newsjack and have this potential of maybe a publicist picking up your piece of content because you just talked about something that was relevant on the news that now you can push it up and go further with it. Again, I like to think of each short form content has a very specific role and job on what it is. I'm not just throwing content out there at this point to be like, yeah, I like this piece. Maybe every now and then, but each piece has a specific role that it needs to fulfill.
Yeah, I'm like once or twice a month.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, I'm like once a quarter.
Really?
For batch filming, yeah. But regularly throughout the weeks is where the news things will pop up. A credit card change happens, an airline makes a change, right? There's so much news in travel and credit and finance that I'm always finding myself creating, even if it's not, 50 or 100 videos at a clip, because of that. Which that's just what works for us,
Yeah.
right? And I think that's important is like, depending on your style of content creation, maybe it works better for you to just do 20 videos once a month or something. Or maybe you're just absolutely cracked in the head like me and you want to just sit there for 2 days straight and just film.
So once a quarter, you've got your base of content, and
Yeah.
but then all the time you're doing trendy
Yeah,
newsy stuff.
particularly my brother's really good at this. Like he'll do a selfie green screen on like any news articles that drop, and those really perform well because that's just the raw in your face. He's just walking around somewhere. He's in an apartment. Like it's the different style than the professional camera and the good backdrop and the good mic. So that type of blended content style also is super helpful because you can teach the same thing differently because it's simply presented in an alternate format, right?
Good stuff.
I did want to mention as well too, knowing the audience here and that a lot of you are beginners, we've been in this industry now for however many years as short form content creators. And when I first started, I did not know what worked and what didn't. And so I feel like we all each kind of have a good grasp now on what works and what doesn't, which allows us to expand our time horizon on how often that we are filming. But when you are starting your content creation process and trying to get yourself out there, you have to put more and more content out. You have to think of it like a content lab. The more experiments that you're running, the more that you'll have data points to find success and see what's working and what's not working. So although the quarterly process, I would even love to get there. I'm not there just yet. And for those who are just starting, maybe it has to be that every day, every few days, just recording and seeing what works.
Yeah, we can afford to be lazy now. But when we were first starting, it was like film a day, post a day. And it does get very tiring and you can burn out from that for sure.
I also feel like I'm kind of going back to it more now, like because I want to do more documenting, and that's going to require me to like film more often. So I know that works for me, and I want to get more in touch with my community again. So I want to like do that more. So I'm going to be filming more regularly. Yeah.
I'm curious if you guys ever gave yourself a challenge for how many days in a row you can create content. Because me and my brother, when we started the page, we challenged ourselves initially to do 7 days of content creation. 7 days turned into 60 days, and that is how we got our first viral video. Every single day we sat down, came up with an idea, scripted it, filmed it, edited it, and posted it. Just to get us in that habit of thinking like a creator and creating. That's the big key, is it's not just esoterically looking up saying, oh yeah, I'm going to do all these things. You got to actually do. And however that looks like for you, whatever you got to do, figure it out.
this is going off script, but I feel like I'm sensing in the room that what advice would you give yourself for anyone starting short form video? Like if you were to give yourself advice again, what would you say?
You gotta put the reps in, right? Just like we were saying, when you're first starting out, you don't know what your audience likes. You don't even know how to make short form videos yourself. You don't know how to edit properly, so you have to do it. We're at a stage where now we know what our audience likes, we know how to edit, we have a system, but yeah, when you first getting started, you have to do it. Just like you said, when you started, you did 60 days in a row, I did 3 weeks in a row, and the first few were like terrible, and then you get better over time, and then eventually something catches on and you start doing more of that.
I'm going to relate it to money because this is somewhat of a money conference, somewhat of a content creation process. So imagine that we all know what compound interest is, right? And we didn't start investing today, but we knew 10 years from now how much that compound interest would accrue to and grow to. Same thing with content creation. You have to put yourself out there. You know that there's a reward at this tunnel that could be very, a lot going on in there. But there is light at the end of the tunnel. One, it's the community that we've all built here now and the support that we've, have. And then two, the monetization then comes then later. So it really is this understanding. There's how many success case studies here, check it out, but don't put yourself in this total education process. It really is learn as you go, see what works and what doesn't, and from there, you got it.
Love that. Did you want to say something?
Might sound like a broken record with this, but action is the cure to anxiety. If you are thinking about creating, you are thinking, you are not doing. And it is through the action in which you create the space for you to get through those barriers that you're creating for yourself. And I just think back to where we were sitting for months going, we should probably do this. Yeah, I don't know, maybe. And then it wasn't until one of our really good friends pointed out that we were doing the world a disservice for not creating. And if you've got something that you want to get out there, I bet there's at least one other person, if not tens, hundreds, maybe millions, that want to hear what you have to say.
Mic drop. That's a takeaway. We started out talking about AI and systems, but at the end of the day, you just have to take the action. And then the systems kind of form around the action that you're already taking. Right? Sometimes we get bogged down with software and how to optimize and make sure every piece of content is going to perform really well, but a lot of the times we don't know until we just do it. So thanks for that reminder. Woo! Okay, how do you balance chasing reach, which short form video is very good at, versus cultivating a loyal, engaged community?
Yeah, I think you have to just vary up your content. So I think for me, I've found success with like skit style videos where it has massive reach, because when you make a skit style video, it's like I'm talking to myself, but it's also kind of like watching watching a nice drama on Netflix or a movie, right? It's a lot more interesting to watch that than like a lecture from a professor on YouTube. So, but the downside is when I'm making a skit, people might think of my characters and not necessarily me. So that's why you have to add in the different kinds of content, like where you're talking to the camera directly, but then make it more fun. So yeah, I mean, it's a challenge, but honestly, it just means you have to post more.
Post more in different formats of
Correct,
short
yeah.
form.
Same message, different format.
So like skits, direct to camera. Are there other formats?
I mean, examples, right? Props, et cetera, et cetera.
I think an easy one is just B-roll with a trending audio and caption. It's one of my like tried and true, like non-professional, but like still gets a positive message out. And sometimes those go viral.
That's on Instagram specifically, right?
Instagram, TikTok, yeah, anything short form.
So trending audio, B-roll, and then what?
Caption, something on the screen.
Like the information is on the screen?
Yeah, like it could be, something that's describing the scene of some sort. Like, I'm trying to think one off the top of my head and I can't right now, but like it can describe the scene of some sort. It could be like some message that you're trying to say. Mm-hmm. Again, it's not about creating something that's crazy if you're just throwing a trending audio on it. It's more just like kind of get it out there. Mm-hmm. But.
Okay, anyone else? Sharon?
I was going to add, I think like for developing that community, I think they I mean, I said it earlier, but like they like watching your journey, and that's like what I'm trying to tap back into. So, for example, I wanted to start this 0 to 100K challenge again. I guess now that I'm like achieved financial freedom, it's kind of like hard to like document as much. So I was like, oh, I think this would be a good idea to like start from zero. And I'm literally like door dashing and doing different side hustles and documenting it. And I think that's like fun for people to watch and just like follow along. And when they have questions, I can like answer those questions. Yeah.
That's fun. Yeah, because I'm curious, long form, there is more opportunity to cultivate trust and then they kind of come back for your content. But short form video, and we've talked about this, Sean, like it's really hard to build that loyal, engaged community because they're just browsing.
Honestly,
and then,
they're served your content more so searching for it.
right, they don't go looking for Sean's latest short form video. It's just, does it show up on my feed or not? So how do you navigate around that challenge of, again, building a loyal community? Do you guys do other things like in-person meetups or DMs, like you reply to comments? Just what tips do you have? Because like that's what we're all trying to do. We're building a community. We're not just posting content, right?
So directly through Instagram, when we have videos that are performing well, we'll try and go live. You know, not on any particular cadence, but we go on Instagram live on a regular basis. And there's some people that show up to those lives that are like, you know, kind of faceless friends, if you will. Like we just recognize their username and they're like saying hi. And, you know, we've just noticed through that small amount of engagement, you know, very ad hoc, 10 minutes, maybe an hour, like we don't put any time presence on it. Just open it up, say hi to people and just kind of, you know, carry it with whatever makes sense, long, short.
Cool.
So,
IG Lives, that's
I don't know if
really
you guys do
interesting.
lives, but
Not that often.
right now you're doing it live, right now.
Right now.
Nice. Okay, let's talk about money. What's your strategy for scaling short form across multiple revenue streams? Ads, affiliates, courses, sponsors.
Yeah, so we make content, I guess, for the different revenue streams. But I'll tell you right now, if you think you're gonna make bank on short form video alone on AdSense, that's definitely not correct. Like, I have a video that had 3 million views just recently, and you know, guess how much money I made from that? Like, less than $400. Okay, so you make about 10 cents per milli, and for a long form video, it's probably $10 to $20 per milli. So it's like 100 or 200x difference on short form video. But if you can sell like one digital product for $20, you're making way more money from selling or promoting short form videos.
All right. I think we're out of time, actually. I want to chat so much more, but thank you.
Yes.
Thank
thanks for having
you.
us.